Well, I know I said I wasn't doing any markets for the summer, but apparently I was wrong. Plans have changed, and I am now prepping for a market coming up shortly. I'm going to take you, of course, behind the scenes, show you different things that I'm going to print for this market, how I'm going to prep for it since it is a summer market, and I want to make sure that I have summer items that are really geared towards summer interests on the table at this market. And of course, I'm always going to have my popular flexies that do so well. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley, and I have built a six-figure bakery from my home. I taught myself everything about how to do that, and now while I'm learning to build this 3D printing business, I'm teaching you how to build a home business as well, because I think everybody has it in them to do that. So let's get into it. I am back to market prep again, which I didn't think was going to happen this summer, but you know, sometimes plans change. So let me show you what I am prepping right now for it. This is an STLFlix file, and these are the dumplings, but fidget dumplings. I want to say that I made this 75% because I just didn't think I needed the size of the 100%. And I did take the pink out of the mouth there just to minimize some of the color changes, because already I think that this is around a 20-hour print for these six. And before I took out the tongue, it was going to be over a day. The market that I'm doing is a different one in that it is a baseball tournament, and there's going to be 15 teams on site. So I, of course, made some baseball themed can koozies. That's in a regular can size, and then this is a tall can size. So like for me personally, I know it's awful. I am a Monster drinker. I just love the taste of them. The caffeine does nothing for me, but this is the size for those. So that is a 16-ounce one. The first one is a 12-ounce one. This is starting up on some mini bone T-Rexes, which is an STLFlix file. And I'm using one of my favorite filaments, the Maple Leaf by Everyone. And then this was actually a custom order that somebody wanted. They are going to like bedazzle these cans, put a logo on them, and then put jewels all on them. They are keychains, so I have to take the supports out of the top. There was 17 ordered. I put 18 on the plate. Good thing I did, because one had an issue and it was right near the end. Of course, you can see that it wasn't too far from being finished, but I'm so glad I put one extra on there. I do that sometimes when it's a custom order, if it's a lot of things, because this was a 17.5-hour print. And I just wanted to make sure that I had an extra in case, and if it worked out with that extra, I would have just given it to her. So that is what's happening right now. I do have some other can koozies in here. Let me show you. This was another one that I worked on last week, and I think I did 3 of this on the plate at the same time to get the color transitions be so many of them. So I love the way that those turned out. And yes, I do provide straws with my can koozies, because I just think that that is all a part of the package. And I have a care card that is tucked away inside of them that lets people know not to put them in the dishwasher, hand wash only. They're not for you to actually pour drinks into. It's just for holding the cans, all that kind of stuff. If you want to see it, I can show it in a future video. Just let me know in the comments below. So that is all that I am working on for now. I will show you more in another clip. Good morning. So these are legs, part of a new STLFlix model. I thought it was really, really cute when I saw it yesterday. It just came out. So this was a long print for these ones, and it's because of all of the little individual joints. This was about 12 hours to print the 2 sets of legs. So they have about 4 hours left. They've been going all night. I have these bone chameleons that printed overnight on the mini. And then I have this long snake that has been printing also overnight on this printer here. It's getting near finished, though. At least it's only got 45 minutes left, so not too long for that one. This one will go for a while. I got to get something else going on the mini. I'm going to take a look and see what other Patreon files that I've been holding onto for a while that I just haven't printed. What I finished the other day and didn't get to show, these are the mini STLFlix T-Rexes, and I also did these 3D Gob meerkats. Very, very cute. Long print, obviously a lot of color changes. I think I did about 14 on the plate. Oh, and I didn't get to show, these are going to go over so well, I think. These are the dumplings, but they are the fidget dumplings that slide like 3D slime back and forth. So they turned out great. Love how they move. This was an STLFlix file, and I did it down smaller than their file. I'm happy with the size. I really like it. I think it's great. And I just love how smooth it is and that it kind of flows up and down nicely. So that's where I am at right now. We will see what else I can get up to today. I only have today and tomorrow, and then the event is on Saturday. So I've got to go through and take a look today and see exactly what I have still from last time, and what else I might need to print. I hope that you're loving the market content this week. I thought I would take a second to tell you a little bit about this market. So, this is again a different kind of market. I love finding different types of markets, but this is actually a baseball tournament. So, there are 15 teams that are going to be coming together in my town for this baseball tournament, and they're all going to be in the same place all day long. There's going to be people having breaks in between the ball games, looking for something to do. I'm also not bringing the bakery to this market, even though I think it would do really well because people would love to have snacks for it. But I just don't want to do the prep involved in the bakery to have it at the market. So I decided let's just do one market where it's solely the 3D printing business, which is great as well because I can really focus on the setup of it and just for one market know that I'm giving everything I have to the 3D printing business. So we'll see, especially how things like the can koozies that are geared towards the baseball players will do, and how many people kind of come in and out dropping by. I am only doing the market for part of it. It is supposed to go from 10 till 7, but I am only going from 10 till 3, which I've never left a market early before. But I agreed to do it knowing that I actually have something else that I have to be at that day, and that's okay too. Please don't forget to like this video and comment below how are your summer markets going for you. I would love to hear, and make sure that you hit the subscribe so that you continue to get notified about my videos. All right, quick check-in on what's going on. So earlier I started some star clickers because I'm almost out. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just doing them again. I did 5, and this was from the Zyro gradient filament. It only has a little bit of a gradient, which is to be expected because I didn't do that many. But now I'm doing 5 more in this purple glitter filament. And then these are turquoise tops. It's currently doing the faces, just changing. And those will go with the yellow bases. I might do just white tops with the purple glitter. And then over here, I'm doing a second of this snake. I haven't printed this snake for a very long time, but this was how it turned out in this filament here. So I'm doing a second in the same filament because this time now I expect that it will be white on the bottom and blue on top. That is the Zyro winter gradient. And then I'm going to do at least 1, if not 2 of these in the falling leaves. They take about 8 hours per print. So this one should finish just before I want to go to bed tonight. And then I will set another one up to go overnight. And I have the leg parts for the STLFlix file that I'm working on finished. So when these clicker tops finish, I'm going to do the tops that will go with the purple bases, and then I'm going to get the bodies for these printing overnight because that is about a 7-hour print to get the 2 of those to go. So I would rather they happen overnight and I just get the other things that I want to get done and out of the way in terms of them being shorter prints for me to do during the day. Okay, hello, let's see what we have going on in here. So on the first printer here, I am actually just making a cake topper for, this is for my nephew's first birthday, which is happening. His party is in a couple days, and I'm just getting the topper done for the cake. So that's that. On the A1 Mini here, I am doing the butter clickers. So it's funny and very fitting as a baker, but the whole butter thing has been big now for well over a year. I kept thinking it would go away, but it has not yet. So I'm going to do a half a dozen butter clickers here. Each one takes two of the keyboard clickers. So obviously, if that's something you're doing, you always want to take that into account for your pricing. My regular clickers I do at $5 each. These ones I'm going to do at $6 each. And then over here, I have one of the big dragons going, like I said, in the falling leaves Zyro gradient filament. And this morning I finished up some lids for some of the Scream themed can koozies. I had 3 of those ordered. I printed 4 on the plate, so I would have an extra one to bring with me on Saturday. And I just have to get those together. I have most of my stuff organized at this point. I just have to get all of the can koozies into containers. I have the new clickers that I made that I need to finish getting put together. And then it will just be a matter of loading everything up in the car to go. So I've got not a whole lot of time left before this event. I'm not exactly sure even what else I want to print at this point, but I will figure it out once. These two are really the only machines I can work with because these prints aren't as long, whereas this dragon one takes all day. So I will have to print the tops of the butter clickers on that machine, and then we'll figure out what I'm going to do after that, and I'll let you know what I decide on. One last check-in for the night before my event tomorrow. So this printer here finished the tops for the butter clickers, and they're together, and this is how they turned out. Very cute. And now it's just making me, you can see some signs for my table. So I want to try to eliminate the questions people have in terms of like, what's this? What's this? So I thought, okay, I got to make something to show, like, even though I have a pint of Haagen-Dazs sitting inside of one of the ice cream pint holders, people still wonder what it is. And people rarely know what the jewelry boxes are or the gaming remote holders, even when I have one of them holding a PlayStation remote. So I figured that I would help to clarify some of those questions by quickly printing these signs. So those are going to go on the table. Over here, I'm working on 3 of the crystal dragons. This is in the Airy One maple leaf filament. I did 3 before this in the Zyro filament. So this will be the last print that goes on there. And this one just finished up one of the big dragons. This was done in the Zyro filament that is now in the dryer, because even though it's PLA, it did have some stringing, more stringing than normal. So it definitely got some moisture. We had a storm this week a few days ago where we got about 40 millimeters of rain in one day, and that is highly abnormal, especially for us. So for sure, I think that my filament did retain some moisture that day because there was just so much moisture around the house. Even though we're in the basement, normally it's fairly decent at combating it. I'm just going to dry a few rolls of my filament. This is when I really wish that I had a box that dried 2 rolls at once, but I don't, so I'm going to work with what I have. I'm going to figure out something to get going on this printer that will print all night, and then that will be it. These table signs will be done soon. I'll get that printer going, and then in the morning, first thing, I'll be on my way. I've got most of the things packed into my car already. I'll finish packing up the things that are in here and my cash box and snacks and all the things that I need to get me through the market. And then I'll head over there and I will set up. And as per usual, I will record my setup. I'm going to do 2 tables again this time. I'm going to change my tables up a little bit. I'm going to reduce prices on my bird houses and bird feeders because I'm hoping to get rid of some of those. And I want to make the can koozies a feature on the table to see how those go over. So I will keep you all in the loop, obviously, while I'm setting up, and I'll let you know how it went when it's all done. So for this market, I decided to try an L formation for my table since I was only doing the one business. And as I always do, I started with setting up my flexies on the table. Now, there were a lot of people around, kids walking around while doing this because the tournament had just started. And I did have a lot of kids coming up to the table to look and dig through. You can kind of see their legs in the videos here, which made it interesting to set up. But nonetheless, I was able to sort through and get all of my flexies out onto the table. They were essentially in the same spot as usual, which is in the middle of one of the tables. And then I wanted to make sure that I got my can koozies set up in a good spot. So I had printed this stand back right near the beginning of when I started my business, and I decided to bring it today for this market so that I could use it to display the can koozies. And I wanted them right on the end of the table so that if anybody was walking by, they would be one of the first things that they would see, hopefully draw their eyes and bring them into the table. And then just like the last two times, I had the clearance bins there going. Each time a few things managed to get purchased. So I really wanted to make sure that those were set up again and clearly visible. You can see I put them up on risers to add some height to the table this time for them because I really want to try to get rid of the items inside of those bins. And then I'm going to move over and try to figure out how I want to set my birdhouses up for this. They always kind of go a little bit different at each and every market. Because of the time of year, I wanted to try to see if I could get rid of any of those. I do find that there aren't many people looking to buy birdhouses and bird feeders come the end of July and August, so they do get harder to move out. I reduced the price on them in hopes that I could get some of them to go just so that I wasn't storing them all throughout the winter. And then you can see I set up the ice cream pint holders in the jewelry boxes with those new signs to make it clearly obvious to everybody looking at the table what those items are. Last but not least, over by my giant T-Rex there, which is meant to help pull people in. These are all of my popular flexies in terms of the snakes, the axolotls, the bone dinosaurs. I sell all of these for $16 each. They always do well at busy markets, and I'm always having to refill them for the following markets. Taking a step back, I will show you the overall look of the table so you can see I have my bookmarks there. They're always popular for me. My magnets, you can see that my price tags are clearly visible on the table. Those little adopt me signs that I put, and I always actually get people saying, oh, look, adopt me, and they think it's pretty cute. I have those butter clickers in there. You can just see how everything is laid out on the table with the different heights and the different items that are together, structured in a way that's really meant to try to bring people in, get them to browse, if nothing else, obviously, because browsing could always lead to purchases. You can see I have the gotcha pop machine on there. Again, obviously, I did have a handful of people wanting those. So thankfully, even if it's not a very busy market, that is something that does bring people in and they're always interested in them. And I just love how the table worked out in this kind of L-shaped format. It was easy for me to work behind it with both of the tables, but it gave me lots of space so that I didn't have everything too crammed together. Well, that event did not go as I would hope it would go. But again, you get some good ones, you get some bad ones. With this one, I think the tough part with it is everybody was there to play baseball, to watch baseball. So you didn't actually have a lot of people leaving the baseball diamonds to come over and do the shopping. There was only two of us there selling products. One was selling gibbets and he had some Neatos on the table, which of course all the kids loved. But there were some people who would come and they would browse the tables, but not a lot of people were actually in the buying mood. And sometimes that's what happens when you do something that isn't necessarily a market. So I went there and I did my setup, I did my teardown, but the actual market time that I was ready and selling for was about 4.5 hours. I only brought in $124, I think it was, in that time, which is not remarkable. But what I will tell you is every time you go do an event, even if you think it's going to be so slammed and so busy, bring stuff with you so that if it isn't, you're not just sitting there scrolling on your phone, wasting your time. So I actually had a month's worth of social media content that I needed to get up for the bakery. I did that while I was sitting there. I was able to respond to some emails, some messages, and do a little bit of planning for this business. I never want you just sitting at a market if it's boring in your chair, right? Where you're all slouched and you have that energy of disappointment because that's going to A, not make people come up to you still in the event that you're at, but B, it's not helping you at all. You're at that event, whether it's good or bad, you're there no matter what. So you might as well make use of that time and try to be working on your business as much as you can. So that really is it now for me for markets until my night market, which will happen on September 25th. I have so many things in my mind and that I'm working on between now and then. I've signed up so far for one other market in October, and it's time for me to sit down and look at the other ones that I'm going to do as well because ideally I would like to add another 3, 4 into there. Whether I do both businesses or just even the 3D printing business, I haven't decided yet, but I do want to start looking at it because we're at August now, and this is when people are signing up for those other markets in the fall and holiday season. So make sure that you're on the lookout for those. Don't forget to drop in the comments below. Let me know how your summer market season has been going. If you are doing summer markets, make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe so that you continue to get notified about videos as I put them out so that you can continue to grow your business. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy printing!